Hi, my name is Kim and welcome to a new episode of PwC's Casual Side. Every year in June, we celebrate the so-called Pride Month, which is a worldwide initiative to celebrate the LGBTQ+ community. In today's very special episode, we will have not only one, but two guests for the very first time. We have Mary, who works in our communications department and is a passionate supporter of all things LGBTQ+. And we have Armin from our Experience Center, who himself is a member of this community. We will learn about PwC's program called Shine, our dedicated events for Pride Month, and how diversity and inclusion at the workplace evolved over the past decades. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So hello Mary, hello Armin, thanks a lot for joining us today. How are you, first of all?
I'm good. How are you, Armin?
Great. Can't wait to do this. Let's go.
Great. So before we deep dive into today's topic, could you maybe just shortly introduce yourself? So who are you? Maybe ladies first. We start.
Okay, that's very nice. But it's a little bit of gender inequality. I like it. So I'm Mary Carey. I'm the Senior Manager, Editorial and Press Relations, and I just joined Shine this year, and I'm an ally, and I've been an ally in my private life since the 80s.
When we're talking about your private life, maybe, so who are you? What are you? How would you describe yourself?
I'm a mom. I have 4 sons, and I have 3 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And I'm a Canadian who lives in Luxembourg since 1990.
That's cool. I didn't have a Canadian until yet, so really cool. Nice to meet you.
Nice.
How about you, Armin? Yeah.
I've been shining for a long time, but here at PwC Shine, since we started, I think that was in 2018. So that was when we organized the first event, and we kind of officially formed within PwC. And I've been living in Luxembourg for 6 years now, and I'm a designer. So I design all sorts of things, like whatever there is to design, I'll be there. You can count on that.
That's good to know. And where are you originally from? Because it's one of the questions I always ask. Like, you're Canadian, you mentioned. So where are you from?
So that's a very complicated question.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, born in Italy, but in the German-speaking part of Italy. So actually, I learned German language and Italian. But my parents are Bosnian. So after the war, we moved to Bosnia and had very interesting post-war childhood there. And then I went to study to Austria. And now I'm in Luxembourg, where I'm married to a Portuguese. So it's like
about as international as you can
exactly, diversity at its peak, so to say. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Fun fact there is that I also speak Turkish, so that's like a sprinkle
how
on
come
top.
that?
Because every school in Bosnia, like high school, not every, but most of them, they choose the secondary language or the second foreign language to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on who renovated the school, like if, for example, Turkey renovated the school, they will ask for Turkish language to be taught.
Okay.
There. So like you have a high school that is teaching Turkish language, you have another one that is teaching Japanese, and you have another one that's teaching Italian. So like, for example,
that's such a cool story.
Yeah, it is.
My friend, he was learning Italian, and because I knew Italian from Italy, so we were like speaking in Italian, for example, was very interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's
and
really
another
cool.
fun fact is that Turkish and Japanese language have almost identical grammar. So it's very easy once you learn in Turkish grammar, which is super easy anyway because they don't even have genders. So it's like a very gender equal language. It's super easy to learn Japanese. You just have to master like few thousand characters. And,
yeah, that's what I was saying. All the signs.
It's super easy.
Pretty cool. Thanks for that. So you mentioned already Shine, both of you. We're not there yet. So let's start maybe on the easy level. It's the June of month, which is Pride Month, worldwide known. And it's the LGBT+ community Pride Month, to be more concrete. So could somebody of you just explain us a little bit about, again, what is LGBT+ and what is Pride Month about?
Do you want to take the first part of that question, or do you want me to?
I would like to see this from a perspective of an ally, so I would like to hear it from you. I could add some details later on, but feel free to kick us off.
I mean, specifically, and I've noticed that the acronym for Pride Month gets longer and longer as the years go by. It used to be Gay Pride, now it's LGBTQ, so it's lesbian, bi, trans, help me here.
Questioning, intersex.
But in fact, there's even more initials that I've seen added on. And so I became best friends with a gay friend of mine in Toronto in 1980, so you now have some idea of how old I am. And at the time, we used to go to Pride, and Pride in the States started in the 70s, I think it was.
70.
Yeah, so it was because of the Stonewall riots, so it was really a move to, instead of make people feel ashamed, to feel proud. And in Toronto, which has a huge Pride, we've had World Pride, and I always went to Pride. It's a massive celebration in Toronto. Everyone gets into it. But it started in 1981 for kind of the same reason. They did bathhouse raids, and a lot of people, even that I knew, got caught in those bathhouse raids, and they, for years, had criminal records. So the Pride Parade started for that reason, and about 5 years ago, the new police chief got rid of all those records, and then he was the first police chief who walked in a Pride Parade. I'm getting all emotional because it's nice. And now the police are a big part of the Pride Parade in Toronto. They even have like water guns and spray water. But of course, a lot of them are part of the community as well. So how did I do? How did my ally view do?
No, I think that's important to mention that it started with the Stonewall protest because the protest happened in '69, and then the Pride happened on the anniversary of the protest, so 1 year later, and it was originally like LGB movement, and there was a huge, I think, fight through the 70s to add the T to it.
Right.
And then, of course, after that, now we have LGBT plus, and now LGBT is just used as an umbrella term for everything else.
Right.
It's not used as an acronym. That's, I think, important, but more like as an umbrella term. So there's much more that goes in because it just represents the community of the people that don't necessarily identify themselves either like strictly straight or however you want to say it.
It's interesting because I know that even inside the gay community, there's politics, and I know that the trans people have fought a lot, long and hard to get into that community, and that they've suffered a lot in the States and in other countries where they've been beaten up, killed, disappeared, and the police really would do nothing to help them. So I'm glad that you made that point.
Actually, that's how the Stonewall started. It's because when they started arresting the transgender people and putting them onto the van, one of the transgender ladies kicked the police officer with the back of the heel.
Big stilettos.
He went into the van to exert his force, and I think when everybody else saw what's going on, then that's when I would say everything broke down and people just pushed back against the force.
I really love this idea of pride versus shame because, for example, when they arrested the people in Toronto, there's a place called the St. Charles Tavern. I used to go to it all the time. It was a notorious gay hangout. And when they arrested one guy, the ambulance dropped him off his stretcher, and he got on the front page of the newspaper, and he was a married man. And we've always been suspicious that they did it on purpose to shame him. I really think there were some shaming, like really dreadful shaming techniques, and I'm glad that wound is healed somewhat.
That's true.
Yeah, I can really feel you there. Like, I see that this is a really emotional topic for you, a very important topic for you. So maybe coming to LGBTQ plus as well in the workplace. So we have got short introduction, but do you see a change? So from when you started working I mean, it's some years now. Until now, did you see a shift there? Did you see a better inclusion?
For me, a huge shift. So when I started working in 1980, my very first friend was a gay man who is still one of my best friends, and in fact, we always call him the other father for my children. They've all lived with him. One of my sons is living with him right now, and at that time, he thought that he was passing himself off as a straight man. That to be in finance, you would not want to be seen as a gay man. I knew he was gay right away, and immediately, sidled over to him and became best friends. But in the workplace, there was definitely a stigma. I mean, absolutely, but also a stigma in general. So, there's only maybe 3 or 4, gay clubs in a gay area, and straight people would not go into those clubs. So I've seen a massive difference. I mean, I just think it's something that you have to see over time to see, and I suspect it happens in other countries still, but I mean, really, gay people were not treated nicely in the 1980s at all.
Yeah, I think it was also very much stigmatized with the AIDS pandemic.
Which is just that time, exactly.
Yeah, and that was, I think, the dark hour of
very dark. I lost a few friends. It was a very dark time.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
But I mean, in Luxembourg as well, to a degree, you have this kind of an assumption, especially about the financial sector. And if you're talking about, LGBT community, I know my friends were telling me, like, when I got a job at PwC, they were like, oh, why would you go work in the financial sector? It was nothing against the company, but it was about the sector. It was like, it's a middle-aged white man kind of thing, like
and women
stereotype,
not those middle-aged white women.
and they were like, you work in an agency, in technology, that's like the perfect place for you to be. And I'm like, whoa, like I don't like when people have any prejudices against me, so I'm not gonna have prejudice against anybody else or the sector.
That's
even.
a great attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I came here, I was like, you know what, we have to do something about it, because PwC Luxembourg as a company, it totally does not fit that bill. I mean, of course, we have a lot of middle-aged white men and women, but that's great that we don't have this ageism thing. We of course have a lot of young people, and that's great because we give a lot of opportunities for young people to get employment, which is very difficult if you're coming out of university. But coming back to my point, that's why we know when we heard about this idea of Shine for the first time, I really enthusiastically jumped at this, and I thought we have to let the community know outside of the company as well that this is a very tolerant place to work in, and not only that, but also to expand this to other players in the financial sector. So, for example, we had a very good cooperation with HSBC.
That was a great with John Parkhausen. That was really, really a nice panel. It happened last week, and John Parkhaus is the best ally that Shine could have. He's really completely for it. He's not afraid to put himself out there, and it was really, really good.
Yeah, and I feel that these are very important kind of events that, again, showcase the financial sector as an inclusive one, and to make sure that we also remain relevant in the war for talent, because I think there's a huge brain drain going to technology sector, and I know a lot of people from our community, that are now just looking exclusively at technology sector to work there, because that's where they feel that they can be free. And now you see a lot of activism going in that sector. But we should really have this balanced and represented in all parts of like work life, not just in one place.
Yeah, maybe coming back, because we've mentioned it so many times. I want to mention it at a later stage, but talking about Shine now. So what is Shine really? I mean, what is it?
So Shine is an internal organization that we formed. So we banded together across many territories in which PwC operates, and we try to help each other promote inclusiveness, so diversity inclusiveness in the workplace. And we do this through a a number of concrete actions that we do every year, and this is really not limited only to the Pride Month. So now we are filming this episode, just happens to be the Pride Month, but we do it really throughout the year, and we bring the spotlight to many different issues that we face as a community. I think another important element of why I really like Shine is that we try to help those in other countries that maybe don't have that kind of level of tolerance. So whether it be, let's say, I will not name any specific country.
No,
here,
because you don't want them coming down on you.
Yeah, like I maybe have got to go there for a holiday or something. No, but seriously.
But how are you doing this? How are you ensuring this?
Well, we try to work with them, with the specific people that are from Shine there. And we, before COVID at least, we were trying to get organized, for example, to go to a Pride event there. Mm-hmm. But then, of course, COVID happened and we were not able to do that. But this is in our plan to definitely like be with our feet on the ground and show up that we stand with the community.
I think it's the same for people, PwC here in Luxembourg has so many different nationalities, and definitely there are some people from the community that come from more suppressed or oppressed countries. So I come from Toronto, and I always say I have to dial my glitter down because Toronto is such an open and gay friendly city. I don't know if you know this story. I'm not always a huge fan of Justin Trudeau, but after the shootings that occurred in Orlando a few years ago, the next day was Pride, and he walked down Yonge Street in Toronto, which was it's like the biggest, longest street in the world, and there was 1 million people, and he refused to have security guards, and he walked down the middle of the street, and I was very proud of him, very proud. But the thing is, when you're talking to people from other countries, I realize that they haven't been raised in this,
yes,
I mean that also for people who are maybe slightly suspicious or against or homophobic or whatever. I try to. Sometimes I get angry, but I try to deal with them in thinking, okay, they don't come from the same place that I do.
Yeah.
Is this what you're thinking when you feel this oppression or something?
It depends. I mean, the thing is, so there's two sides of that coin. The people who are gay themselves or LGBTQ themselves, who are might downplay it or be a little more concerned. I mean, maybe that's why they're even in a country. Maybe that's why they would work in a country other than the one that they grew up in. But nothing is perfect, and I've had a few comments from people even inside this company. Not everybody is 100% for it. I don't think the people, from what I've experienced, people aren't against it, but they just wish it would be a little bit quieter, or a little less visible. But it's not going to be.
Yeah. That's a very difficult ask, to be honest. Yeah. Knowing myself and my friends would be like, let's try something else.
Yeah, so there is, and so one of the ideas, and it hasn't been fully formulated yet, although it has in EMEA, is to have a training. Because just a basic, not really like a sensitivity awareness training, and maybe even eventually make it across the board, although that still has to be agreed upon. And I think it would be a great idea.
Yeah, it's very difficult, to do. We have an online e-learn, around diversity and inclusion, but every time I've asked some of the people to take that e-learn, and everybody is coming back and saying, well, I'm not gonna do that because I'm not racist, like I'm not like or whatever. That's not for me, like you're probably misunderstanding me, like I'm the most tolerant person in the world. But I think the more correct format would probably be like a half day or a full day training, something that would be very much immersive, and something somewhere where we could hear stories from the people that have gone through different experiences, something you can hear firsthand, and you can feel empathy towards those people. And I guess that can then once you really feel this emotion, it can make you reflect a little bit on your own actions and behavior. I think that would be a kind of a helpful training to have on this topic.
The truth is that if people are open, you can do this in a generation. But it's just that you've got a lot of cultural, biases on the world.
What I've also seen is like when people don't know something, which is not that common for them, then...
I give you an example. My brother David is gay, and he had a baby with 2 lesbian women, and they live next door to each other. So the deal was he would get to be the dad. And my father, who passed away, is an arch Catholic. And I don't know how he felt about this, but when he saw his grandchildren, then he loved them, and he just got over it.
Okay.
So if he could do it, anyone can. If they... And after that, I don't think it ever bothered him anymore. And when my nephew Andrew came out, I think he was actually disappointed when he told my dad, because he wanted my dad to make more of a big deal of it. And my dad's like, "Yeah, that's great." Yeah. So my dad's attitude changed. It took a little while, but it changed. So it can happen.
You are really a great ambassador for the community, yeah. But coming back to the diversity topic, so why does diversity matter at the job?
Well, diversity matters across all areas. So, let's not forget, I was a woman who worked in finance in the 80s, and it was exactly the same thing. If women went into finance, I worked in finance, then I worked in mining, and then I worked in steel. So I picked the 3 most male-dominated industries. And back in the 80s, if I went to one of the trading desks, asked them a question, you'd have a hand on your leg type of deal. So that means that you just have this male-dominated industry. Now that you have women in the industry, the industry has changed. The way that the attitude has changed. Guys used to have heart attacks on their desk, etc. Now it's like a more, just look at PwC, which is not just financial but services. So when you add all that diversity, across all the streams, including LGBTQ, you get different mindsets, you get different qualities. To me, it just totally raises the talent bar. Like, I think there's a real, corporate growth, revenue, whatever, as well as cultural positive outcome of it.
Yeah, and I've seen that now through the decades. We've seen a lot of research done on the team performance and generally on the management. And what the research has concluded is that the most diverse teams outperform the ones that are more like homogeneous. And that's just the fact that now that if you want to succeed in a globalized world and all of that blah, blah, blah that everybody's talking about, you just have to have a diverse team, right? Mm-hmm. That to have the different perspectives integrated in every decision that you're making, in every strategic move that you want to make. And that has become not only, I would say, a source of an advantage, but it has become the norm. So now by default, companies are looking to have diverse teams. But in the past, it was more a different kind of thinking, saying, oh, we want to be the same because if we think the same, we'll make decisions faster and, we're going to move like somewhere faster. And now we see that, okay, it's not only about the speed of the decision, but there's also about the quality of the decision. And what makes a good decision at the end of the day is the diversity of the perspectives, hearing different opinions, hearing opposing opinions, contradictory, healthy amount of tension, even conflict, to arrive at the conclusion that is then an inclusive one.
No,
right?
Definitely. I think trying to make everybody fit into the same profile is counterintuitive. You just end up with a whole bunch of people who are trying to think the same. Whereas if you get, a group of people that come from all different places and have different attitudes and different, cultural beginnings, you're going to get a richer solution in the end.
I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. But the catch here is that really the kind of a homogeneous groups, they outperform a heterogeneous one in a short term, but in a medium and long term, they heavily underperform like diverse groups. And this is where it's so attractive for organizations to want to work with similar profiles, because in the short run, it's very effective, right? But then, I mean, if you're playing the long game, that's from the beginning, you should start forming the diverse team and putting this in place.
Great. And when we're talking about Pride Month again and events which are taking place, because you've mentioned that there are so many movements, and we know worldwide there are always some movements, but what are we doing here at PwC Luxembourg really?
Well, we are doing a number of events. So the first event that we are doing is the power of visibility in the workplace. So it's all about the LGBT visibility. We'll have a few speakers, and this one is organized, I think, by our colleagues from UK.
Yep.
And the second one that we are going to have is all about our game changers. It's about the let's say the champions in the community who promote the different let's say the diversity and inclusion topic. So we have 2 events on that topic because we have a lot of promoters. And then we have the Stronger Together, so the intersectionality and active support in the community. So it's all about support, and I think that one's self-explanatory. Then we have the EMEA Pride, so you, me, us, we, and practicing better allyship.
So we also have, so by the time this is broadcast, so these events are all over the week. They're about 1 hour each, and they're all done from different PwCs across the EMEA. So our event is on the Thursday, so you can still come, you can still register, and it's basically just a fun evening. We get to be the fun ones, which is harder than you think on a webinar.
Yeah, especially like with so many countries, present and so many different levels of expectation.
Yeah, I know, the pressure is on.
Last time Germans had the fun evening and yeah, and it was somehow, I don't know why, but they organized it in German. So well, I hope like this time.
We've been working on it a lot, but
our session will be in English.
There's a lot of technical caveats to it, because we want it to be interactive, which is really tricky if you get 250 people.
Absolutely.
But you know that, 2 years ago, we marched in Esch Pride Parade with a big, huge PwC banner, which got stolen, by the way. Did you know that?
It's so funny because
it disappeared. The thing was huge, and
like,
it disappeared.
10 meters wide and maybe 1.5 meters tall. And it's a huge thing to carry.
Yeah, probably someone took it home.
So one day you're going to go to somebody's house for a party, and they're going to have this 20-foot PwC Shine banner. We're going to go, you stole it. So that was, but we had an absolutely great time. And John and lots of Mark Schoenberg who heads Shine, they just loved our participation. And then of course the next year there was COVID. But this year Esch is having a live Pride show. Only 500 people can be in front of it, but it's interactive, so you can also watch it on a live webcast.
Where is it going to be?
It's Pride is always in Esch.
It's always in Esch.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can get all the information on the Luxembourg Pride site.
Yeah, and there's a whole week of events actually organized in Esch as well.
Yeah.
So you can see probably some of the movies or the shows, and it's very interesting. Yeah.
I tell you, one day that banner's going to turn up. I just don't know why anyone would take it.
That's, I think, how every Shine meeting starts. Is like, has anybody seen the banner? Since I just can't believe that something so huge can just disappear in front of our eyes.
Me neither. I'll never be able to figure that one out.
And I was joking for some time with my friends. It must be like some of these other big four, I was jealous that they were not present.
So they took our banner.
Because we were the first big four to be there.
Absolutely, we were one of the first companies actually. So we had a great time. It was really fun. Yeah.
I really feel that you had a great time. I really have to join you for the upcoming session on Thursday. Great. And maybe just one last question for today, because we're already there yet. So is there anything you would like to recommend out to a future generation out there who are listening to this podcast?
For me, I would say that I really believe that even in Luxembourg, I don't see, like I do in Toronto, as many open and public expressions of physical love. And I lived for 1.5 years with these friends of mine. They're a gay married couple. We called ourselves Two Gays, a Girl, and a Cat. If we were a TV show, that would be our name. And they told me that they still don't like walk around holding hands, whereas they're very affectionate at home. So I really believe it doesn't matter what you are, but if you love somebody, you should be able to physically express it. It makes me sad to think that you can't, or you're afraid to.
Yeah, I have just a bit of a different experience because of where I come from, and well, Bosnia used to be part of Yugoslavia, which then broke down into 5 different republics, I think, and it led to a very bloody war and the conflict and everything else that, you know, still to this day is very tense. And one thing that I see now happening a lot with this cancel culture and so on is this, you know, I don't want to speak to this person, or I don't want to speak to this group of people, and just like putting a wall in between, you know. And I think the whole point of the LGBT community and the movement was to break down the walls.
Yeah.
And now that have achieved what we have, we should not be putting up a wall around that. We should then seek to you know, keep tearing down other walls that exist and barriers. So that I would say to our generation and the younger ones is to think a bit more openly and to be open to a dialogue, to hear the other opinions and the perspective. You're not always right in everything we say. That's the important part, is to keep an open mind. We arrived here because we convinced others to keep an open mind, and we should ourselves retain that open mindset. I think that would be the key to you know, avoid backsliding on this progress. It has already happened in a few of the countries where we see that, you know, LGBT rights are not progressing anymore in the right direction.
I know, it's so sad.
They have stepped back, but you know, once you achieve something, you should not take it for granted.
Yeah.
And I think the way to retain what we have in the current world is to continue being relevant through discussion, through the public display of affection, of course, and other activities that we have to do.
That was absolutely beautiful. Thank you very much.
Nice words.
Yeah, really, really. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to talk to both of you.
It's the most fun I've had on a Friday at work.
Yeah. Let's go to the beer tent.
I know. It's not open.
Wishing you a lovely afternoon, and ciao ciao from my side.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode. If you don't want to miss out on our upcoming stories, hit subscribe, feel free to share, and let us know what you think. Thank you for listening, and see you for the next episode of PwC's Casual Side.